In this integrative research project presentation, I will be presenting an introduction to the research question, the purpose for the research, laws and policies, research parameters, the literature review, conclusions and key findings, and recommendations for both schools and future studies. My thesis answers the research question, what are the characteristics of effective? The purpose of this research is to examine the characteristics of effective supports for teachers to implement database decision-making in grades K through 4. Reading proficiency is critical to the success in academics, yet reading scores have declined across the U.S., dropping 3 points on the most recent assessment of 4th grade students, according to the 2022 National Assessment of Educational Process. 37% of 4th grade students scored below the NAEP basic level. Some laws and policies have been put in place to guide educational practices, ensuring methods, assessments, and materials meet criteria and are based on research and best practices. The Andrew F. Supreme Court decision requires that schools engage in a reasonable, defensible process to monitor the progress of students with disabilities and implement database adaptations when students demonstrate insufficient responses. Database decision processes represent a framework that is clearly aligned with the expectation of the Supreme Court decision, given the ability to use database decision-making within RTI frameworks. In this first part of Chapter 2, I will explain the method that was chosen for this review. 10 peer-reviewed studies on the characteristics of effective teacher supports to implement database decision-making within grades K through 4 were chosen. Search terms included database decision-making, data-based instructional decisions, multi-tier interventions, data-driven decision-making, DBDM with in-reading interventions, DBDM and teacher efficacy, and data-based individualization and pedagogy. This literature review begins with an analysis of a seminal study by Fuchs. This study presented a great influence within the area of focus for this literature review, as it was conducted 40 years ago. Fuchs examined educational effects of integrating frequent curriculum-based measurement and evaluation on pedagogy, student achievement, and students' awareness of their learning progress using the data-based program modification system. This study provides evidence that frequent, systematic measurement and evaluation significantly influences pedagogical decisions. The next 3 studies are both teacher and student focused. Vanderschwer and Vischer examined the effects of an intensive database decision-making intervention on teacher efficacy. DBDM interventions significantly improved teachers' sense of efficacy in instructional strategies and student engagement. Leigh and McNaughton examined the impact of data use professional development on student achievement within educational intervention. The effective use of data leads to more informed instructional decisions and overall improved student outcomes, valuing collaborative data analysis. Koenig examined whether educator and school organizational characteristics are related to the effects of a DBDM intervention on student achievement growth. It concludes that the intervention can be highly effective and are dependent on a range of factors, including teaching quality, staff attitudes, school leadership, and overall data culture in the school. The next 5 studies are teacher-focused. Capizzi and Fuchs examined the effects of curriculum-based measurement with and without diagnostic feedback on teachers' instructional planning. They concluded that effective use of CBM with diagnostic feedback enhances instructional planning and differentiation. Marsh and Farrell examined a framework for building teacher capacity to use data for instructional improvement. They concluded that strong leadership and organizational support, including sustained professional development and effective coaching, lead to increased outcomes. Pringer and Scheildkamp examined the psychological factors influencing data use by teachers. They conclude that by addressing these factors through targeted professional development, supportive policies, and effective leadership, teachers can enhance DBDM practices. Felderman examined whether training in the use of data corresponds with increased data use for decision-making. They concluded that ongoing and comprehensive training programs are necessary to enhance teachers' data use practices. Hebecker examined the steps in the DBDM process, explored the relationship between the steps, and determined whether instructional decision-making mediates the relationship between data analysis and student learning outcomes. They concluded that additional support and tools given positively influences teachers' ability to make data-informed instructional decisions, in turn, improving student outcomes. The final study correlates to university pre-service teachers. Dubers and Schmidt-Daffy examined the effects of a relevance intervention on student teachers' self-determined motivation and application intentions for DBDM. They concluded that incorporating relevance interventions in teacher training programs can enhance motivation, improve the perceived value of critical content, and their intentions to apply the learned skills in their career. These are the key findings from my research. Using data on student performance allows teachers to identify deficits and differentiate instruction to meet the individual needs of students. DBDM and structured interventions significantly increase teacher efficacy and instructional strategies, student achievement, and student engagement. Teacher support is positively associated with increased teacher engagement and data analysis. This includes prepared teaching materials, computer-generated instructional recommendations, and investments in professional development and training. Time and resources, which requires ongoing support from district and school leadership to successfully adopt DBDM practices. This includes trained coaches and experts to engage in meaningful data analysis and instructional planning. Collaborations such as PLCs and data team meetings enhance the effectiveness of DBDM. Teacher preparation programs. Investing in teachers at this level can ultimately enhance informed and effective instructional decisions, requiring less ongoing training later, freeing up time and resources for other focus areas. The recommendations for schools include providing schools with structured DBDM interventions, supporting teachers with ongoing high-quality professional development in the area of DBDM, scheduling time for teachers to work with highly trained coaches and experts, providing collaboration time among teams in PLCs and data meetings, and at the college and university levels, they should invest in DBDM courses for pre-service teachers. These are the recommendations for future studies. There is a need for studies that gain insights into the long-term effects of continuous teacher support on the DBDM process. Investigative studies into how sustained instructional support over an extended period of time can clarify the role of decision-making in DBDM and the impact on student outcomes. Exploring more elements, specifically in data literacy, that contribute to the effectiveness of teacher preparation programs.